Welcome back, viewers, to Cinematic Sins, where we peel back the layers of Hollywood and reality TV scandals to uncover the truths hidden in plain sight. And tonight, we are diving headfirst into the storm that is Sister Wives Season 20. The new season doesn't just begin, it erupts. From Kody's shocking private confession to the wives forming whispered alliances that could shatter the entire Brown family legacy, what unfolds in these first moments is unlike anything we've seen before. Is this the season that finally breaks the family apart? Or is it the beginning of a dangerous game of power, secrets, and betrayal that no one saw coming? Stay tuned, because what you're about to hear will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about Kody, Robyn, Meri, Janelle, and Christine. The premiere of Sister Wives Season 20 opens with an eerie sense of tension, and from the very first frame, the energy in the room tells you that something is shifting inside this family that has spent more than a decade living its struggles and triumphs in front of the world. Kody Brown walks in with an expression that is guarded almost unreadable. His shoulders slightly hunched, his eyes scanning the faces around him as though searching for familiar loyalty, and yet knowing deep down that it is no longer there. The wives, Robyn, Meri, Janelle, Christine, and the occasional new voices that producers tease into the storyline all sit outwardly composed, but the silence between their words carries more weight than anything they might say on camera. The unspoken has always been the true heartbeat of Sister Wives, the glances, the sighs, the pauses that linger too long. And in this new season, those silences feel deafening. What begins as an ordinary check-in for the cameras soon unravels into confrontation, raw emotion, and startling admissions. This is not the light-hearted family update that longtime viewers once tuned in for. This is the dissection of a marriage and a lifestyle that has been publicly breaking apart for years. And in Season 20, the producers waste no time in pulling back the curtain to show the world just how fractured things have become. One of the first moments that leaves audiences gasping arrives when Meri, usually the most careful with her words, finally decides she cannot hold back any longer. For years, she has played the role of the quiet wife, the one who swallows her pain for the sake of unity, the one who remains on the periphery smiling through heartbreak while Kody redirects his attention elsewhere. But in this season opener, Meri's voice trembles, not from weakness, but from a rising storm of clarity. She looks across the room at Kody, her words sharp-edged with years of suppressed frustration, and she tells him what fans have long suspected she is no longer: willing to live as a ghost in this marriage. Her sentences carry a mixture of hurt and disbelief. And there is something chilling about the way she speaks, because it is not a performance for the cameras. It is the sound of someone who has endured silence long enough. Viewers watch stunned as Kody shifts in his seat, his face tightening, but he cannot disguise the flicker of defensiveness that crosses his eyes. This confrontation is not just about Meri and Kody, it is about the unraveling of a dream, the very dream that once made the Brown family such a spectacle when they first appeared on television years ago. Sister Wives was sold as a radical experiment in love and family unity, a polygamist household living proudly and openly in a world that often dismissed them as taboo. Kody presented himself as the leader of this grand vision: 4 wives, 1 husband, dozens of children, and a sprawling story of faith and family values. But as the years unfolded, what became increasingly clear was that beneath the surface of that utopian dream lay jealousy, discontent, neglect, and a hierarchy of affection where some wives were favored and others abandoned. What Season 20 reveals in its opening episode is not merely the collapse of a marriage, but the implosion of an entire belief system that has been propped up by cameras, contracts, and public fascination. The drama of Sister Wives has always been more than domestic quarrels. It has carried the weight of a cultural scandal. a portrait of a family that dared to flaunt an arrangement most of society rejected, and in doing so invited endless scrutiny and judgment, what once felt like groundbreaking reality. Television now feels like a tragic Hollywood exposé, the kind of story where the smiling red carpet appearances, the carefully staged interviews, and the polished family brand eventually come crashing down under the weight of its own contradictions. In many ways, Kody Brown has become a character ripped from the pages of Hollywood history, a man who believed he could control the narrative, who thought he could hold multiple relationships in balance while maintaining his image as the charismatic patriarch. But season 20 shows us what happens when that narrative slips beyond his grasp. Christine, who already walked away in earlier seasons, still casts a long shadow over this story. Her decision to leave was a public declaration that shattered the illusion of unity, and her absence is a presence in itself. As the wives gather without her, Kody's bitterness toward Christine simmers. Beneath his words, he frames her departure as betrayal. But viewers see something different. They see a woman who finally reclaimed her independence, and they see how her courage has rippled through the remaining wives in subtle but undeniable ways. Janelle, once the steady, pragmatic partner, now openly questions whether staying in this fractured system serves her or her children. Robyn, the wife who was once painted as Kody's favorite, faces the uncomfortable reality that being the chosen one in a collapsing house of cards does not guarantee stability or love. The camera lingers on Kody throughout the premiere. His posture, his tone, his forced attempts to assert control. But the more he speaks, the clearer it becomes that his grip on this family is slipping. There is an eerie resemblance to celebrity figures who once commanded attention and loyalty, only to watch as their empire crumbled. Around them, think of stars who built empires on carefully crafted family images, only to have divorce court filings until all interviews reveal the cracks beneath the surface. Sister Wives has now reached that stage of the scandal cycle. It is no longer about introducing audiences to an unconventional lifestyle. It is about watching the fallout as that lifestyle collapses in real time. What makes this exposé so gripping is not just the arguments or the tears, but the way it mirrors so many Hollywood stories of love gone wrong. How many times have we seen famous couples present themselves as picture perfect, only to later discover the betrayals, the secrets, the quiet resentments building behind the scenes? Kody and his wives may not be A-list movie stars, but the scandal unfolding here carries the same weight because it is built on betrayal, broken promises, and the disintegration of trust. In the premiere, when Meri finally says aloud what fans have whispered for years, it feels like the equivalent of a celebrity confession on the cover of a glossy magazine. Except here, the confession is raw, unfiltered, and devastating. The episode continues with small moments that add to the sense of doom Robyn's attempts to smooth. Over conflict come across less like peacekeeping and more like desperation. Janelle's quiet resistance feels louder than ever. Every pause between words seems to carry an unsaid truth, and Kody's irritation grows as he realizes he can no longer silence those truths for viewers. This is the kind of television that goes beyond entertainment. It becomes a study in human relationships, in power dynamics, in the way love can curdle into resentment when left unattended. And yet, as much as this is a personal story, it is also a Hollywood scandal in disguise. Reality television has long blurred the lines between authenticity and performance. But what season 20 reveals is the rawest version of this family to date. The producers do not need to script drama, because the reality itself has become stranger and more riveting than fiction. Like so many celebrity scandals before this one, the Brown family saga has now entered its tragic chapter, the part of the story where the smiling photos are replaced by tense stares, where the carefully maintained brand gives way to public dissection, where audiences no longer ask whether the family will survive, but instead wonder who will speak out next, who will walk away next, and how the fallout will reshape everything that came before. The premiere of Sister Wives Season 20 is not just an episode of television, it is a moment of reckoning for a family that built its identity on unity and now faces the consequences of division. For audiences, it is both shocking and inevitable. Shocking because the confrontations feel raw, inevitable because the signs have been there for years. The Brown family, like so many celebrity families before them, has reached the point where the truth can no longer be hidden behind smiles or scripted talking points. And in this season, the truth is more explosive than ever. "I can't keep pretending everything is fine," Meri says, eyes glistening but her voice steady with a conviction that has been missing for years. For a moment, time seems to freeze. The camera refuses to look away. It lingers on Cody, whose attempt at a calm nod cannot mask the storm brewing behind his guarded expression. His jaw tightens, his eyes dart from Meri to the others, as though searching for some form of backup, some sliver of loyalty that might protect him from the unraveling on national television. Viewers at home are left breathless, hanging on every flicker of emotion across his face. What exactly is happening behind the polished facade of the Brown household? And how much longer can the family maintain the illusion of harmony? The silence after Meri's declaration is suffocating, broken only when Janelle seizes the moment with the bluntness that has always set her apart. Janelle has never been one to shy away from confrontation. For years, she has played the role of mediator, balancing pragmatism with diplomacy. But this time, the weight of years spent swallowing her frustrations collides with the raw honesty of the moment. She leans forward, her words sharp, her tone leaving no room for misunderstanding. She directs her frustrations not only at Cody, but also at Robyn, the wife who, in the eyes of many fans, has become the gravitational center of Cody's attention. The tension between Janelle and Robyn has been quietly simmering for several seasons. It has lived in the subtle side-eyes, in the clipped tones, in the hesitations that producers cleverly wove into earlier storylines. But here, in the season 20 premiere, it explodes into full view. Words are hurled like daggers. What begins as a discussion over household responsibilities devolves into a volley of accusations. On the surface, the argument appears to be about trivial matters. Who said what? Who was included? Who was left out? But beneath it all are the deeper currents of jealousy, resentment, and wounds that never properly healed. Audiences watching from their living rooms understand instantly that this is not about chores or calendars. This is about years of favoritism, about unspoken hierarchies, about the corrosive impact of watching a husband redistribute his love and loyalty unevenly. Robyn, who has long been painted as the composed, even saintly wife, begins to unravel in front of the cameras. She does not scream. She does not lose control in a dramatic Hollywood fashion. Instead, her composure fractures in small but telling ways. The camera is merciless in its attention to detail. A tight jaw, a deliberate swallow, hands clenching at her sides with such force that the knuckles turn white. Every movement tells a story that dialogue alone cannot convey. Robyn's eyes dart toward Cody, searching for reassurance, but his own unease betrays the fact that even he cannot anchor her in this storm. Christine, who once played the role of peacemaker, sits in visible strain. Her body leans away from the conflict, her eyes occasionally glancing toward the camera in moments of almost desperate transparency. It is as if she is silently asking the audience to understand the impossible weight of trying to maintain harmony in a household so splintered by resentment. Christine has always been the wife who put on the brightest smile, the one who softened the edges of Cody's more abrasive moments, but here in this scene, even she cannot disguise her exhaustion. The weight of years spent trying to play peacemaker is finally written across her face in lines of fatigue and resignation. But the chaos does not wait for anyone to catch their breath. Mid-scene, a revelation drops like a thunderclap. Cody hints, carefully, almost calculatingly, at a decision that could alter the family dynamic entirely. He does not state it outright, but the insinuation is clear enough for every wife to feel the sting. The idea that he might realign his priorities, that he might choose a path that leaves some behind, crashes into the room like a wave. Gasps, sharp intakes of breath, voices rising in disbelief. Some wives react with anger, others with trembling. Voices, but all are caught in the raw immediacy of the moment. For a fleeting second, the camera captures a tableau that could rival the tension of any scripted Hollywood drama. A husband at the center of his unraveling empire, wives locked in a battle of loyalty, betrayal, and survival. The conversation. soon transitions, or at least attempts to, into what seems like a routine family meeting. They gather around the familiar setting, the couches, the arranged seating, the illusion of order. But beneath the surface, order has long since eroded. What begins as a discussion about household logistics quickly transforms into a stage for emotional fireworks. Secrets that have been tightly contained within the polished facades of family life begin to leak into the open. At first, it is subtle. A raised eyebrow here, a muttered aside there, but within minutes, the dam bursts. The wives begin to speak, not just about the moment at hand, but about years of grievances that have never been resolved. Accusations of favoritism spill out, piercing the carefully cultivated image of equality that Cody once prided himself on. Long-held betrayals are dragged back into the spotlight. What was supposed to be a conversation about daily responsibilities morphs into a reckoning with history, with the deep fractures that have threatened to destroy the family from the inside out. Then comes the moment that leaves viewers reeling. One wife, her voice trembling but her words sharpened by years of pent-up pain, blurts out something that makes Cody visibly flinch. The camera captures his reaction in devastating detail. The blink, the twitch of the mouth, the tightening of the shoulders. For a man so accustomed to maintaining control of the narrative, the moment slices straight through his defenses. Even fans who believe they have seen it all in the Brown family drama are left gasping. The energy in the room shifts into something almost electric. It is no longer just a disagreement. It is a battlefield of unspoken truths, a war zone of unresolved conflict stretching back years. The air is heavy, almost tangible with tension, and the audience can feel the weight of it pressing down on everyone in the room. In those minutes, Sister Wives transcends reality television and becomes something closer to a Hollywood exposé of a family tearing itself apart before the world's eyes. What makes this moment so compelling is not simply the words spoken, but the subtext that bleeds through every glance and every pause. It is the way Meri's voice shakes with equal parts fear and resolve. It is the way Janelle's words carry the force of someone who has been waiting years to finally be heard. It is the way Robyn's composure falters under the pressure of no longer being able to play the saint. It is the way Christine looks at the camera, silently appealing for empathy, embodying the exhaustion of holding a fractured family together with nothing but willpower. And at the center of it all is Cody, the patriarch whose once magnetic confidence now appears brittle, almost desperate, as he struggles to hold onto a narrative that is slipping through his fingers. This is where Sister Wives Season 20 distinguishes itself from every season that came before. Earlier seasons thrived on the novelty of the lifestyle, on the curiosity of audiences who wanted to peek behind the curtain of polygamy. But novelty cannot sustain forever. What we witness now is not curiosity, but collapse. It is the fallout of years spent prioritizing image over honesty. It is the natural consequence of a relationship structure that demanded silence, submission, and self-sacrifice from the women, while Cody retained the power to distribute affection as he saw fit. And yet, what elevates this drama into the realm of a Hollywood scandal is the way it mirrors the very patterns we have seen in celebrity marriages and public breakups. How many times have we watched as powerful men curated a brand built on family, values, only for the truth of imbalance, betrayal, and neglect to surface years later? The Browns may not be movie stars, but their implosion has all the hallmarks of a Hollywood exposé. The staged smiles of family portraits now feel like paparazzi shots of couples on the brink. The carefully worded interviews of seasons past now ring hollow in the face of raw, unfiltered confrontations. This is no longer about polygamy as a cultural curiosity. It is about the universal themes of loyalty, betrayal, and the human desire for love that is equal, fair, and real. Then comes the moment no one expected, the kind of scene that reality television producers dream of but can rarely manufacture because it carries the weight of absolute truth. Cody sits back, his shoulders slumped in a way we rarely see on camera. His posture no longer the posture of a patriarch, but of a man cracking under the pressure of his own creation. The camera shifts closer, tighter, until it frames him in a private, intimate angle that makes it impossible to look away, and in a voice that is soft but thick with meaning. He delivers a confession that silences the room. "I've been trying to hold everything together, but I can't do this alone." He says, the words hang in the air, heavy, almost suffocating. This is not the controlled Kody Brown who has spent years shaping the family narrative. This is a man stripped of his bravado, admitting weakness in front of the very women he has so often demanded strength from. The effect is immediate. The camera captures each wife's reaction. Like a series of portraits frozen in time, Meri's wide eyes glisten with something between shock and vindication. Her lips quivering as though holding back 1,000 words. She has waited years to say Janelle's mouth presses into a thin line. Her silence louder than any outburst, Christine looks away. Her face flushed with the conflict of empathy and exhaustion, Robyn stares at him with a mixture of loyalty and fear. Her hands gripping the edge of her chair as though bracing for impact. It is raw, unfiltered human drama that transcends reality television and steps into the territory of documentary exposé. What makes this moment so electrifying is not just Kody's words, but the vulnerability behind them. For years he has projected confidence, sometimes arrogance, positioning himself as the anchor of the family. But in this confession, audiences see what the wives have likely known all along. The anchor has rusted the weight of managing multiple marriages, of balancing ego's needs. And unspoken resentments has finally buckled his foundation. In that single moment, Kody ceases to be the unshakable patriarch and becomes instead the fallen figure at the center of a crumbling dynasty. Social media erupts within minutes, fans rush to Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, flooding comment sections. With speculation, what does this mean? Is Kody admitting defeat? Is he hinting that one or more marriages are effectively over? Is this the end of Sister Wives as we know it, the confessional? Style of the show has always invited viewers to feel like insiders, privy to secrets whispered behind closed doors. But this moment feels different. This feels final. It feels like the beginning of the end. And then, just as audiences are reeling, the show delivers its most tantalizing twist. A whispered exchange between two of the wives, caught not in a formal interview but in the raw immediacy of a candid camera shot. It is subtle, a hand on an arm. A lean toward one another, voices hushed. Yet urgent, but the implication is seismic. A secret alliance forming within the group, a partnership forged not in love, but in survival. The wives have long been depicted as rivals, competing for attention, affection, and validation. Yet here, season 20 teases something far more dangerous: unity. Not with Kody, but against him. The camera pans outward, slowly, deliberately, the music swelling into a storm of strings that suggests not peace, but impending war. The wives sit in silence, their faces masks of tension, but underneath their stillness lies the promise of upheaval. The scene fades to black, leaving viewers with one thought: season 20 is not just beginning. It has arrived with the force of a hurricane, and nothing in this family will ever be the same again. What makes this cliffhanger so masterful is how it mirrors the beats of Hollywood scandal narratives. Think of the tabloid era, when glossy magazines captured grainy images of celebrity couples on the brink when whispered. Alliances and secret confessions became the fodder of late-night talk shows. The Browns may not be red carpet regulars, but in this moment, their story carries the same cinematic gravity as any Hollywood implosion, the patriarch's confession of weakness, the wives' silent reactions, the formation of hidden loyalties. It is Shakespearean tragedy unfolding in real time. The genius of the editing lies in how it allows each wife's reaction to tell its own story. Meri's wide-eyed shock speaks of decades spent waiting for Kody to acknowledge what she has always known, that their marriage was unequal, unsustainable. A ghost of what it once was, Janelle's steely silence reflects the pragmatism of a woman who has long calculated her own survival outside Kody's shadow. Christine's avoidance, her flushed cheeks and downward gaze betray the exhaustion of someone who has already begun her exit, her body present, but her spirit halfway gone. Robyn's loyalty evident in the way she cannot look away from Kody reveals not strength, but desperation, a clinging to the role of favored wife, even as that favoritism becomes a curse. This layering of emotions creates a tableau that feels almost cinematic. Audiences are not just watching a family quarrel, they are witnessing the unraveling of a dynasty, the kind of unraveling that has fueled Hollywood scandals for decades. The Browns may not have the billion-dollar net worths or blockbuster careers of celebrity families, but their implosion plays out with the same rhythm of betrayal, secrecy, and power struggle. It is the Kardashians stripped of glamour, the Windsors without the crown, a uniquely American tragedy broadcast one Sunday at a time. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Cinematic Sins, and hit the bell so you never miss the next Hollywood expose.